Hey guys, this is Colby. Today I'm going to show you how to make this last piece to the clone tripper belt that we're currently working on. It's pretty much just this little cylinder, these little pieces that go on the side. So let's get started. Starting off, I'm going to hold on shift and press right click on this center of the back of the belt. After that, press shift A. Let's create a mesh and let's create a cylinder. Let's scale the cylinder down, press S, scale down with your mouse, and we're just going to rotate it horizontally 90 degrees. So R and Y and 90, just so that it's basically rotated sideways. So now I'm just going to move this piece into position here, right about here, where it's just slightly touching the belts. So now we can go into edit mode on the piece, or the cylinder. We're going to add an edge loop right down the middle, so that way we can cut the piece in half in mirrors. Just press Ctrl R. You can do this in any of these three modes here. So press Ctrl R, left click, you should see this yellow line appear, and I want to delete half of the cylinder. So basically one way to do that, what I like to do is just hold down Shift and Alt in face mode, so press 3 on your keyboard, and then hold down Shift and Alt and select this set of faces to select the entire loop, and press X to delete, and delete this face as well. So there we go, it's cut in half. You could also go into back view as well, and just go into wireframe mode and delete half using box select. Say if we had the cylinder here, we have half of it selected with our edge loop down the middle. You select the box select, left click, and just select half of the cylinder, and press X to delete. That'll do the same thing. So now, with the cylinder cut in half, go into object mode, add a mirror modifier to the piece, and turn on clipping, and set the axis to Z in this case. Just depends, we just want it to get symmetrical across, basically. Now I'm going to go back into edit mode on the piece, and I'm going to grab this face and just move it pretty much further out to the side. And so now I'm going to unhide my references, that way I can see what I'm doing and match to the reference, so that we have something to match to. So here, just got to move a reference into position right here. If you go to back view, see that it's not like perfect, but it's still there. It's not a perfect match, but basically, just to set up our references, I have two image reference planes here. The fronts, so the one that's facing this way, or this one, we want to use back view from pretty much the entire process here. So we'll be using this side of the clone trooper reference instead of this side. And we need to move this in front of the belts, like this. That way we can see the back. And pretty much for side view, we'll just be using the side view of the belts on this side of the clone trooper. So you can set up your scene like this. If you don't know how to set up these image references, you can go back to the first video to watch how to do that of this series. Anyway, let's go back onto the cylinder, go into edit mode on the piece, and we need to create two loops that go around the cylinder. So I'll show you what I mean, but basically, just press Ctrl R and scroll up once with your mouse. You should see two yellow lines. Once you have those done, just left click and finalize them. Now press S and X and make them closer together, like this. And we're going to move them pretty much to the left. So press G and then X and move them to the left. So now let's go into face mode, press 3 on your keyboard, and shift select this set of faces. So shift and Alt and select this loop. Press E to extrude. And press S to scale outward, like just like that. Not too much. And then press S and X to make it more even. It's basically just make these faces straight. If it's too like this, it's too inward or outward. Just make them flat and straight. So I'm going to scale the whole piece down in object mode, just to match the reference a little bit better. It's a bit wide. So now we can make it wider on the x-axis as well. S then X, then move them outward a bit. And you can do the same. Go back to edit mode and do the same for these little tubes. You can press S and X. Hold on Shift and Alt. Select the outside, then select the inside, and then press S and X and scale inward. Get skinnier. You can move them to wherever you need them to. If you just press G and X and then move them across on the X axis. Now it's time to work on the sides of the cylinder and to basically just round off this section here. So I'm gonna grab this face. I'm gonna press E and S and scale down with my mouse. Scale down in face. Press left click twice to finalize it. And then move it slightly outward. So press G and then X. Move it slightly to the left. So that way it creates a little bit of a bevel right here. And so now, pretty much, we just need to create a couple little extra pieces to go on the side of the cylinder, and then add the little buttons here that go on the back. So next, we're going to go in edit mode on the piece. We're going to create a little bit of a ring that goes around this circle. So you can select this face, press I to inset, and drag your mouse inward a tad bit. And now we can deselect everything. So press A twice, and go into face mode, press 3 on your keyboard, and then press Shift and Alt and select this ring right here. If you select someone like say like this one or the wrong one by accident, you can just press Control Z to undo. But now you can grab this face, this rim, and press E to extrude, then X, and move it outward to the X axis. Just like that. Finally, we're going to do this same process pretty much again one more time. So select this face inward on the inside, press I to inset, and drag your mouse all the way inward to create this central piece, this little circle in the center, and press E and X, and extrude it outwards a tad bit, and press S and scale down with your mouse. That'll create this little knob that goes on the end of this piece. You can make it a little bit larger if you need to. Shift and Alt, select the set of faces and this one as well. You can just hold down Shift and select all of it and scale it outwards a tiny bit. So now we're going to create two little lines that go on the inside of the cylinder. So I'm gonna go back to object mode, and I'm gonna Shift and right click right here. So that way we can create a new spawn point. Press Shift A, create a mesh, and select cube. Scale down with your mouse. So press S, then scale down. Now you can press S and Z to make it a bit taller. We basically just want to match it to the diameter of this inner circle. You don't want it to go outside of it, just like slightly inside. So now press E and X, move it like this. And so from here, you can just simply rotate the piece. Press R, then X, and just rotate it kind of like this. It's kind of like a clock. And I'm gonna press Shift D to duplicate this piece. Move it slightly to the left, or right, actually. If you press G and then Z twice, so G and then Z, Z, it'll move up on its own Z axis. And you can do the same for this piece. Just move it to the left of this circle here. Move it down into position as much as you need to. Press S and Z twice to scale it down on the Z axis for itself. Not the world Z axis, but the object Z axis. You just scale it down like this. Do the same for this piece to match the diameter. S then Z twice. And I'm gonna grab both these pieces and just kind of move them slightly inward, so that way they clip through this piece. And just kind of match them, make sure to hide any parts that are clipping outside. So just by moving it into position. So now I'm going to join these two little cubes that we just created to the cylinder. So hold down Shift, select both of these cubes, and lastly, select the cylinder. Press Control J to join it all together. And now it should be mirrored across the other side. And so we're basically done with the cylinder. We just need to add a couple little extra buttons on the side here. That'll be the end of the video. So I'm going to go into object mode. I'm going to press shift right click right about here. And we're going to create about, we can count it real quick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little cubes. Starting from the center of the cylinder, and it'll go all the way to the right. So press shift A, let's go to mesh, scale down, turn mouse, and just kind of make it into position here. You can make it a bit flatter, so press S, then Y, make it a bit flatter. You can also make it a bit taller as well, as this piece should kind of round off in the center. So if you go into edit mode on the piece, you can add 2 edge loops, as many as you need to. I'm just going to create 2. Let's Control R, scroll up with your mouse once. You should see 2 lines. I'm going to grab this edge in this face, and this face on each end. Press G and then Y, and move them inward a bit. That'll create a little bit of a roundness to match the cylinder. So basically, we're going to duplicate this piece a couple more times, about 6 more times. To speed up that process, instead of duplicating it, you can just add an array modifier and turn up the counts to about 6 or 7 and increase the factor. I'm going to change it to negative 1.1, kind of like that. So there we go. So now we can go ahead and apply all of our modifiers on the cylinder and these little buttons here, so that we can join it all into a single object and shade it smooth. So apply your array modifier. So click this arrow here, press apply, and go into your cylinder piece and press apply as well on the mirror modifier. And now we can join this object, the cubes, to the cylinder. So hold down shift, select both of them together, press Ctrl J. That'll join it into a single object. It's now we can right click, shade smooth. You see some problems here. That's easy fix. Press this button here, press auto smooth. And that'll fix it for you. So we're done with all of the pieces on the belt. This next step is optional, but I'm just going to move this entire belt and all of its attachments to my character that I'm making right now to finish off the belt itself. So you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to show you. So pretty much I'm just going to apply all of my modifiers on all of my pieces. I think I already actually have a belt set up, so I can just actually move this piece over to the back of my character's belts into position here. And for this, I just need to scale it up a bit to match the size, make it a bit shorter on the x-axis. And just pretty much match it to the rest of the shape. So this is pretty much as far as we've gotten so far. I've shown how to make all these other pieces to the character, and we now just finished the belts. So pretty much from here, we're going to start working downward and just keep working our way down to finish off the character. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer them. Next time, we'll be making the centerpiece. We'll see kind of where it'll go. I'll see which piece I'll be making in the next video, but stay tuned. But anyways, I hope you guys found this video useful, and see you guys next time.